Welcome everyone to another day of the Overwatch League Countdown Cup edition. I'm Vicky Kitty and I'm joined with Trid. And Trid, the race to the playoffs continue with some of these teams hanging on to the cusp as we wrap up this first week. It's going to be a banger, especially after the series that we got to see yesterday, which was insane. Minus that first one.
Yeah, I mean, well, the first one I think was insane for different reasons. It's absolute insanity to see the scoreline, and not just that, the performances from the Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai Dragons. I think when people tuned in or was catching up on the APAC results, they weren't expecting to see that scoreline. Thankfully enough for the Dragons, though, Vicky, they have an opportunity to close on a high. They're kicking off with our first match against the Charge. But let's go ahead and take a look at those standings when they're ready, and we'll see what you mean, Vicky, about how there's some precarious positions for teams today as they need to obviously get themselves in a position where they can qualify for playoffs.
Yeah, this is super important. Looking at the overall season standings, the top three in the East automatically qualify for playoffs, while one other team will use the Countdown Cup to qualify for that last remaining spot for playoffs as the fourth team. So there will be 4 total teams in the East that will be able to play in the playoffs. So that's going to be exciting, but that's why it's so important when you look at these season standings and looking at the gigantic gap between the Shanghai Dragons and below them. I mean, that's why the Dynasty and the Dragons have been on a different level this entire season.
Yeah, they've been cut above the rest up until this point. Like I said, they had a nice little compare and contrast that was happening earlier in the week where we had Seoul Dynasty play against the LA Valiant, who put up a really strong performance despite dropping down 3-0. And like I said, I'm going to harp on about it again. Surprising that we didn't see the Dragons actually remain as competitive as the Valiant against the Dynasty series. But as you mentioned, they got the Charge to play against 6th place Charge. Let's restore some confidence in Dragons fans before the end of this week and then get back to our regular scheduled programming of Dragons dominance. But here's your Charge roster for the first map just to kick things off. Jimmy, Choisewan, Piggy, Xerneas, and Farah.
Listen, Trid, the Dragons were a bit lost dealing with the Smurf Winston, all right, from the Dynasty side of things, but then you take a look at the Charge and you take a look at Piggy coming through. I mean, the Charge, this is going to be exciting. They've had some pickups here between Jimmy, Aprita, Xerneas, but Piggy being that newest ad, they've been feeling pretty comfortable so far within this meta.
Yeah, and just a reminder, if you're tuning in for the first time, only just being able to indulge your Overwatch sensations, you have to think about what the meta has changed into. A lot more Sombra, a lot more Tracer, Winston becoming more prevalent, but a great rotation of tanks evolved throughout these series as well. So we've moved very far away from what we had previously with Jotes, but let's take a look at the Dragons lineup as well, their opponents today. A few substitutions throughout the series yesterday, Vicky, but I believe this is the same starting lineup they ran with to kick things off. We did see a lot of rotation of players into the Dragons lineup as the series progressed.
Absolutely. This is the same starting lineup, like you mentioned, with Lip, Fleta, Fate, Lee Jaegon, and Easy Yaki. We saw some substitutions between Fate from Void actually moving in from his side, Bebe coming in as well. We saw some playtime from Bebe, but it just seemed really difficult for the Dragons. Once again, I have to repeat it. The way that they weren't really able to deal with Smurf, it was a pretty big issue. Bebe really couldn't help themselves to stay alive long enough to help out the rest of the Dragons. I'm wondering here, though, if we're going to see those similar substitutions going into the series.
Well, I would like to see stability from the Dragons today. Yes, you can have specialization, but there were so many changes going on. It really did feel, I used the word yesterday, a little bit like a scrim for the Dragons. A lot of testing still, trying to crack the problem that was the Dynasty and Smurfs Winston. I'd like to see Dragons come with a game plan today, and I'd like them to be the ones setting the pace and make Charge adapt to them. I think just inability to build something cohesive during the gameplay yesterday was a big drawback for them, and I think on a lesser opponent, which I don't think it's fair, I don't think it's our turn to say the Charge are probably not as strong as the Seoul Dynasty. I think there's an opportunity for them to really lock in what they want to do this stage.
Yeah, wondering if this new pickup with Piggy being on the team is going to make much of a difference. Looking at the history between the Charge and the Dragons, they lost to the Hunters just yesterday in a very close and an intense series, losing 3-2, and they almost got the reverse sweep, but the Hunters just played that last map on Oasis so well. They're also, if you look at their schedule, they have to play the Dynasty next and then Philly after that. So they got a pretty stacked up schedule on their hands to deal with as we move on to the very first map of this series. We are going on to Nepal.
Yes, so let us jump off into Nepal. Like I said, expect the compositions to be very different as if this is your first time tuning in since the Summer Showdown. I imagine we'll see a lot of the standard stuff of the good old Tracer and the Sombra a lot of times here, but Shanghai Dragons and Charge at the moment, teasing some picks. The thing is, though, like, usually I'd say the tank picks are trolling, Vicky, but yesterday we saw both of these be played viably in the West and in APAC, so not going to rule it out completely.
Actually incredible. Mikey said, wait a minute, don't worry. If APAC won't do it, I will. I'm going to roll out with the ball. I mean, it is great because I love that. I love being able to have that diversity when it comes to the hero picks that we see from our teams. But we have been seeing a lot of the Sombra. We are seeing a different variation, though, with Fleta actually being on the May to start things off. Choice of one, taking a page out of his own book and actually starting with the Reaper.
Yeah, and Sojourn's across the board as well, so this might look a little bit familiar for people from the Summer Showdown, but trust me, it is a different comp, operates very differently. Shanghai Dragons, they've got themselves into position, they've taken the fight to the Charge already, they're locking them outside of the spawn room, and as they unlock, they're going to have to try and work their way through Fate's shield, as the Reinhardt is going to be a bit of an issue for them, but May as well, providing that double wall, makes it so difficult to regress onto these chokes, Vicky, and first cap going the way of the Dragons.
Be difficult here. I'm wondering how Piggy's going to try to play this Zarya into the way that the Dragons are playing this DPS lineup, as the rest of the Dragons are going to try to charge over to the side with Li Jaegon, boosting them forward. It's a bit of a split of tension here from the Charge. Jimmy falling incredibly low, though, trying to get away. He does get the health back as well. So they are going to be able to try to contest that point. That's still in favor of the Dragons at first.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's so difficult for them to find an entry point here. And you've got the big forward unit. Your Fate and Fleta walk forward. It just means Izayaki and Lip can stay at the back and take easy shots at targets who try and aggress maybe on the flank or to go too aggressive into the main skirmish. But been forced a little bit away from the point for the time being. Jimmy will find that railgun shot and opens up for Choi.
Oh no, Choi, he dashes through the Immortality Field and Izayaki at the same time, as well as the rest of the Dragons. An amazing start here for the Charge. Yeah, 44% is in favor for the Dragons right now, but the Charge were taking that methodically. They actually were taking their time. They made sure to actually take that fight first against the Dragons, and now they are going to be able to flip that point in their favor.
Yeah, start accruing that bonus for themselves for the time being. 40% in climbing. Piggy's nearly got that Graviton Surge. Be very difficult here. Set up a lot of combos potentially with Xerneas and the Sound Wave. You grab them by an edge. Easy boop off afterwards. Instant kills across the board available for them. Window drop down here by Izayaki. Gets them out of the sight lines. Closes them down while Fate walks forward. And I touched on the point. They've given it to them for free. No one went and contested against the window.
And just kind of playing around the point instead, because you're just waiting to get these big picks first. He doesn't even need to use it right here, Trid, and this is great news for them because, yeah, they're letting the Dragons get the point here, but they're winning these fights. They're on purpose spreading the Dragons thin, and they're holding on to this economy.
Still got a long way to go, Vicky. If they're in the lead, if we swap the percentages, I feel more confident about Charge's position. Yes, they do have a few ults coming on the board. They probably have the whole buffet. Apart from the window from Dragons, lots of options available. Lots of options available for them as they go in. Choi, Nanoblade.
Oh, the wall, though. Not going to let them go in as the Blizzard gets unleashed. Here comes the Shatter here from Fate. The rest of the Dragons unleash everything that they have. Gonna have that Stone Barrier ready here too, but they're not gonna even need it. It's just a charge now. Losing out on Xerneas and Choice of One. Piggy falls incredibly low, but manages to survive and take care of Fate at the same time. Jimmy now contesting on the point, trying to stall for as long as possible as they surpass the Dragons in terms of percentage.
Yeah, one of the difficulties there of using the Reinhardt charge from Fate, yes, you try and get that burst damage onto Piggy, but you push Piggy to his teammate. The Ana's right there, drop the Bionade on the floor. It gives you the anti-heal. No one can support you, and you're just going to get burned down quite easily at that close range. They can take Crossfire and get around your shield quite easily. And so despite shutting down a big blade, nano boost combo onto Choice One, you're able to try and mitigate some of the fight, but ultimately 90% for the Charge, and they're on the cusp of taking this first round.
Absolutely, 90%. And climbing as the Sound Barrier gets unleashed from the Charge here too, as well as Li Jaegon to match that, as well as the window actually from Izayaki here. 99% in favor for the Charge of the Dragons. Managed to flip it, but they're dropping with Izayaki going down, and so is Lip. Unfortunately, nothing coming out of that overclock after Fleta made the swap over to the Tracer here too. He's still alive. He's only hunted deer life as Fate Nat manages to get Xerneas, but they trade that for Li Jaegon, so both Lucios off the board as overtime now, taking away in favor for the Charge, and they have more heads here on this point, and they are looking fantastic, Trade.
I don't think I've seen a single fight on the point this round, Vicky.
No.
All the skirmishing has been happening in these back corners off the point. And sometimes the fight's not even over, the fight's not even started before flips are coming in. The objective was a secondary fort there. These teams were just going for pure skirmish mode in these corners, and ultimately the Charge come out with the victory there for round number 1 and draw first blood. We now move over to Shrine, seeing Fate tease the Winston. I think they could probably roll around with this one, but we'll let the comp changes roll out when a point unlocks. Shanghai Dragons still struggling to find their footing, but this is a one-round Andy situation. There's still plenty more with this series to go.
Still, though, looking at the way that the fights were kind of being unleashed in that first round, like you mentioned, playing split up away from the points, very interesting. Basically playing that the point has lava on it. Let's not touch it challenge here, as Fate is going to be able to roll out on that Winston. Charge taking their sweet time, but not taking their time this time around, as they are going to be able to get to that point, and it actually cost them with Fleta actually getting put into position by Li Jae-gon. He's going to be able to find Jimmy.
Yeah, that was Fleta also getting the support from Li Jae-gon over the top and just making sure they get that damage nice and easy. Jimmy unable to escape it, gets burnt down, gives them a 5v4 advantage, and first point capture should in theory go to the Shanghai Dragons, but it's a fast travel back to the point from Jimmy. He can teleport across and move quite forward. They will have to go and aggress as they move forward into Jimmy again. Nowhere to go. They won't even let him shut down Fate at this point if they hit him with that railgun.
Jimmy can't catch a break here. He can't even touch a single toe outside of this choke point. The rest of the Charge are just going to back away, give that space over to the Dragons to wait out on Jimmy, who's making the swap over to the Sojourn now. Piggy still has the ability to bubble Choi So-won to be able to rack up some more damage. Choi So-won just waiting for an opportunity himself over by the sidelines, but doesn't want to try to overcommit.
It's all about picking up and trying to build these ultimates. Good cut-through opportunities there for Choi So-won. It's a bunch of Travolta charge and tries that chip damage onto the Dragons, but Anna has a Bionade available. You've also got the Amp It Up from Li Jae-gon. Lots of healing options available as ultimates will start to come online shortly, starting with that Nano Boost, and they're still building towards that Nano Blade combo, Vicky. Just 19% left for Choi, and they can go.
Well, he's taking a quick nap right now as the Sound Barrier gets unleashed from the rest of the Dragons. Choi So-won may not even have that opportunity. The Nano Boost was put on there, but he couldn't get the blade in time as Farway gets focused down by Lip. Lip's positioning so far in the second round has been fantastic, and the Charge have not even been able to even see the point with their own eyes. The Dragons continuously stop every approach they have, and now Fate is going to hug them in their spawn.
Yeah, I believe that was a fantastic slip by Izayaki to just deny the out-of-sync Nano Blade combination, like you called out, Vicky. Choi trying to build up to that blade with the Nano Boost just to get some residual at the end of it, but if they're slept, well, they're not going to be able to do much with that one, and ultimately Farway loses their life as well, so unable to pull anything off of that combo. Really dire situation for the Charge here. Lots of ultimates to run into. Overclock available. Pulse Bomb is going to be thrown into the mix surely by Fleta. I'm not sure how the Charge can touch with this one. They've had to disengage with 10% remaining.
Wow. Nobody's checked Lip, and Fate now has found Choi So-won. No blade here. 94% already in favor for the Dragons, and the Charge are now going to try to desperately try to get on the point if they even have heads available for them. Farway goes away. He gets clicked on the head. Xerneas has a Sound Barrier to at least keep the Charge alive to try to force it overtime, but Piggy can't even get set up there. He was right there, unfortunately. Can't force the overtime, and we are in a 1-1 scenario for our first map, going on to round number 3.
That's kind of what we expect to see from the Dragons a little bit more, Vicky. Very dominant on that round in particular. Like you said, Lip's positioning fantastic, relatively untouched that round. Fate just able to do what they want. Fantastic shuts down from Izayaki and support from Li Jae-gon. Yeah, great play all round. Just really unfortunate there with the Charge, unable to make use of their ultimates in the most optimum way. Piggy just being a little bit late to the point to keep the contest going. The grab could have been a good opportunity for a recontest, but they were fighting so many ultimates from the Dragons that just weren't having to be used in the round earlier. It was a great economic situation for them, and they were able to convert it to the dub.
Izayaki's positioning as well, since we highlighted Lips, has just been 10 out of 10, getting those crucial sleeps, preventing Lip from even getting dove on here, as the Dragons now already take over the high ground. Charge are going to try to meet them up. Jimmy still sticking over to the Reaper at the very start here of this round. Choi So-won falling incredibly low, having to back away just a little bit, but Lip once again uncontested over in the sidelines because the Charge really can't have that space, that opportunity, as a nice big ante hits Piggy and Farway.
All right, Jimmy able to finally make contact with Fate, and as expected in that interaction, the Winston goes straight back to the spawn room. Points unlocked, trying to migrate. Jimmy will take a nap, but there's not really anything the Dragons can do about this one out their main tank. It does mean the first point capture goes over to the Charge.
Point flip here in favor for the Charge. Gonna see that dive right on the top, while Fate is also gonna be taking a nap. A big ante. He's not deleted.
But he gets out.
How is
He got
still
out.
alive? How is he still? That's incredible. Fate gets to see another day. Lip gets that pick onto Farway. The disruptor shot controlling so much space, especially on this point here. Here comes the sound barrier now from Xerneas. Nice ante once again hitting Choice01. This may cost his own life. See Fate trying to chase him down if he has the opportunity, but it looks like Choice01 managed to get away just in time. Xerneas doesn't have the same fate though, as Lip is going to be able to find him into the side. Somebody needs to check Fate. He is getting away with way too much. And the Dragons now hold back the charge and manage to plant their feet and stay on this point.
Just chasing them off the point altogether. A bit of sensory overload for Fate on that point. Barriers everywhere. Damage just being thrown into them. Still weathers the storm with confidence. Able to get out here and chase away the team from getting the capture. While Lip was just popping off on the Sojourn. Once again, uncontested on this hero and just proving his dominance that he's continued from the Summer Showdown.
Trade Fate getting away from there was so crucial for the Dragons to actually flip this right back in their favor. He was literally the epitome of one. It was insane. Now they're going to be able to try to recontest here. Holding onto this choke point, they have to look for it back. Now here comes the nano boost from Choice01, and the blade is going to try to dive in. Fleta taking a nap, can't use that pulse bump. That was absolutely huge. Farway catching him, and now Choice01 cleans up Lip. There goes the DPS lineup of the Dragons, and it's going to have to be a reset here with Fate falling incredibly low. Doesn't have that sustainability though without Lige gone, only leaving really Izayaki.
What a sleep there from Farway to shut down Fleta. Unable to get the pulse bomb into the mix. A lot of ultimate set on the board for the Dragons when they may have wanted to commit that to keep their dominance. They will have some recontest tools here, but if they don't pay attention to Jimmy, who can sneak into those little corners like that, he's going to have a Death Blossom available that can just shred through the Dragons. Getting him with the disrupt shot definitely had to happen with a railgun as well. But he's using the overclock. He does it again!
What's happening? Lip with the 3K, make it a 4K. The charge are escorted off the point, and the Dragons look right back into shape as if yesterday never happened, Trid.
This is what they wanted to see to close out the week. 70% in climbing now, getting into the latter stages of this round. They have the Primal Rage and they have the Nano Boost. So that's a lot of stall that can be converted onto Dragons if they need to get onto the point and try and go for a contest. Death Blossom being used on the entry point, but Dragons, they just peepo leave. They just speed boost out of there. There's no one around to get affected by it. And they head back to the point and stop the flip from coming in. Look at how close Charge were to getting a flip over in their favor as well.
More impressive that the Dragons were able to immediately reverse that situation as Lip finds Jimmy head on. Jimmy managed to also take care of Izayaki that was right behind Lip as Lip now goes down from Choice01. Incredible diversion though for them to actually split their attention from that choke point after Lip got put to sleep, denying the Death Blossom. But now the Charge are going to be able to flip that back in their favor, but at 99% for the Dragons, they look great.
Okay, they still have the Primal Rage available for them. They are going to be running into Piggy's Grav, and you've got a Nano Blade combo and Sound Barrier. Charge should be able to force this out. They have all the tools to be able to still win this round, Vicky, and take the first map. They can't have members being slept out of sync. They can't have members being picked off. It's quite easy for the Shanghai Dragons to do this, especially if Fleta gets that Pulse Bomb online.
Charge have their win condition though. Here comes the Blade. Nano Boost Blade as he charges in through everybody in the Dragon. Seconds ticking away. He's cleaning up the whole team basically. The 4K to clean up the rest of the Dragons. But that was a Nano Boost and the Blade being used up here. Now the Dragons have to desperately touch the point. As you can see Fate activating that Primal.
Lip switches on, but they lost Lige God, who won't bring the beat to this. Primal Rage just for the resets to get to the point. That fight came at a pivotal point. Piggy still has the grab to win this as well. The Dragons don't close this one out. The overtime's surely going to kickle down, and Charge have to take this round.
Saw Lip coming in on the Sombra, getting the hack real quick onto Jimmy, but he manages to survive. Meanwhile, Choice01 has been tearing through the Dragons at the very end. Your need continues. Taking down Fate, taking out Fleta. Piggy now is helping clean up the point. Overtime taken away in favor for the Charge. And the Charge take the first map in a very intense last fight there situation between themselves and the Dragons.
Yeah, that Nano Blade combination, finding the backline straight away, takes them out. You immediately know at that point the Dragons are going to go on the back foot. But if you check the status of the map, Vicky, we're already at 85% charge for the Charge. Look at this. Cleave, dash, immediately. Lip and Izayaki are gone. there's nothing they can do about it. They have such finite time to play with. All the resources that they would have had available for a cohesive fight had to get burned just to make the fight happen. Lee Jae-gon had to go in there and try and touch. On the escape, died at 99% before they could have the sound barrier. That would have been a great tool to use. You had Fate jumping in. He had to use the Primal Rage for the cooldowns on the jump to touch the point as well and get in there and contest. Primal Rage would have been a great stall tool to help the team build around, get there, build some ultimate charge. Yes, we did see Fleta go in with the Pulse Bomb, but that was eaten up by Piggy's barrier, so it didn't even get a pick onto Faraway. So panicky at the end there. Their hands were forced. I think there were a lot of forced errors on the side of Dragons at the end because of the state of the game, but Charge will walk away with map number 1.
Amazing. Lip also with a desperate swap over to the Sombra there as a Charge take. Map number 1, though. Got another map coming in on the other side of this break. You definitely don't want to miss this one. Welcome everyone to the first series of the day. That's one map down, going in favor to the Charge versus the Guangzhou Charge and the Shanghai Dragons, which rejoice Charge fans. I believe that was the first map the Charge have taken over the Dragons since, I believe, the kickoff clash when the Dragons were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do for this season. So the Charge, with some of these great pickups, Trit, they're looking fantastic so far.
It's been a great start for them as well. I think we might end up with a few more confused North American fans when they wake up tomorrow morning for all the audience. I know we had a lot of that yesterday. It looks like we're going to get more of the same today. Still plenty of gas in the tank for this series. We're looking ahead to moving to a hybrid map next. I think the Shanghai Dragons, they looked them most dominant really on Shrine. They had a complete lockout when we were looking at Nepal, unable to find any real... well, Charge unable to find any real footing in that map, but when it came down to Sanctum and, of course, Village, they were able to just close it out pretty easily. Piggy's Zarya has been absolutely fantastic. Far Away has been a standout for me on the Charge as well. Clutch sleep darts all the time, shutting down both Fate and also Fleder a couple of times as well, let's be real. Izayaki trying to keep up, doing a good job of it as well. A few shutdowns on their end, but the Arnas have definitely been very refreshing to see. Sleep darts, one of my favorite ability in the game, and it really shows off the skill of some of these support players.
Yeah, Lip was popping off. We saw Lip putting himself in a really good position off to the side, uncontested basically that entire second round. But Choice-1 at the very end, as well as kind of comboing it, that nano boost from far away, positioning himself to get that dash, clean up the rest of the point. It was difficult to really deal with. I do have to commend here the Dragons, the way that we saw Lip pop off on the Sojourn, also having not only that disruptor shot pickups, just controlling so much space, but then that positioning again that we keep highlighting it. If the Dragons keep playing into that strength, especially as we move now onto King's Row, it's going to be great. You have a lot of good sightlines here, but you're going to be entirely in these close quarter battles, so you have to expect the Reaper to come out.
You can expect it, you can run from it, but the Charge, they're running out on what's been working for them. I think this is the strongest look we've seen from them in that first map, Vicky, which is putting Jimmy onto the Sojourn, allowing Choice-1 to stay on that Genji and getting Piggy's Zarya into the mix. Now, I wonder if the Dragons will have an answer for this one. I think they're probably still deciding, but I'm happy with what the Charge is rolling out with here. They're just allowing their individual star power to shine.
Let's see here. We also see a lot of that verticality being highlighted on King's Row. Let's get started here. Dragons trying to look to see if they can get a little pick off real quick with Lip. The Widow can also stay this if it feels comfortable, but he says, no way, never mind, I'm going to back away. You saw that the Charge were ready for that. The Dragons are already going to scoot themselves forward to see if they could get that positioning around the statue.
Yeah, Lijig on the Lucio up there, trying to see if they can knock anyone down. Piggy knows better, able to hide away from the high skates that Lijigon's going to take. We're still trying to test the angle. Fate jumps into the back line, trying to get on to Jimmy, and Flutter's there for the cleanups. That's that first pick. Charge should really fall apart at this point.
Really good first pick up there, especially with the rest of the Charge holding onto the high ground. Now Fate is going to be able to try to clean up right behind them. Barway still manages to get Lijig here, though, as Fate is going to meet them on the other side, prevent Choice-1 from getting away. Now that first tick already in favor for the Dragons. Of course, Spawn being right there. Lijig's going to get right back into the action immediately, but the Charge holding onto the high ground. Nice anti hitting Xerneas and Piggy. Farway falling a little bit low, but manages to get away in time.
Yeah, good disruptive shot as well, controlling these very limited high sights that they have. Piggy's easy to get picked off there by Fate, and Dragons should be walking away with point A there. Far Away is just going to contest the dive. There's not really much they can do here. But no, it's really good. You use the disruptor shot where there's exposed areas. If you're playing on the high ground, there's only limited access to where you can actually control the point from. And disruptor shot is a great ability to shut down those close areas. And Charge's hand were forced in a lot of these instances, as they're being forced right now, unable to get out the spawn room.
They don't even have a chance here. The Dragons pushing all the way forward as the staggering goes on, and this is an amazing position here for the Dragons, because not only were they denying all that space, they're controlling all these next corners that Fleta and Fate are going to be able to take control of here while the payload moves along in the back line. Holding on to that front end choke point right before that second point, though, is absolutely key in being able to buy that free space for your own team.
Very far forward, as you'd expect. Nice high ground take from Jimmy, but Fate's going to deny that. Already up there, ready to go. Doesn't want to contest it too long. Knows it's going to take a while before Jimmy can just slide on back up there. on the hunt for Choice A1 at the moment. Just on the side so they can find an actual route to the back line, but Fate's there to check him every time. Fate is checking him, and then he goes on and does some work of his own.
All these ults online here for the Dragons, looking mighty expensive. Looking to hold on to this for this next fight. Here comes that disruptor shot again, controlling a lot more of that space. The nano boost on top of that. Lip now unleashing the overclock, being able to find far away, and the sound barrier from Lijiagon. The nail in the coffin to confirm this second point. The Dragons have not been stopped. Yes, Piggy gets Lip, but the number advantage already in favor for the Dragons while they're looking to escort the rest of this payload to that second point.
Okay, so the solo grab onto Lip, who had a lot of resources pumped into them. Basically, the Shanghai Dragons just turned Lip into a Torbjorn turret, and the rest of Shanghai Dragons became Torbjorn. He was just locked in a stationary position, auto-locking basically on the overclock, and all these resources were being pumped in. Think of the support line as the hammer, just to keep him up against all the damage that was being pumped in, and Lip delivered for the team. Demolished charge and stopped them from touching the payload.
That late sound barrier there too, also just to keep them alive. Beautiful from Lijiagon. Far away getting dove on once again. He antis Fate while he's trying to back away in time. They're trying to isolate him, but he's got that primal. He's going to be able to back away in time. Just the amount of space that Fate has been able to control alongside with Fleta for this match has been amazing here. They've just had non-stop momentum since the start of this payload moving, and it's looking to keep going all the way to the end here. If the charge don't get much here with this blade, Nano Boost coming in soon.
But this is a ridiculous time bank to be playing with at this point, Vicky. Like 4 minutes 15 on the go, and they're just on the cusp of getting the map completion. Jimmy having to put the team on his back at the moment with those railgun shots just to make sure they mitigate and try and burn through this, because if they were to take anything close to this through to the next round or next attempt at King's Row, it'd be so dire for the charge, even if they did complete the map.
Crazy. 3 minutes, less than 55 seconds. Charge now are going to finally have some breathing room, at least for this next corner. They have everything online for themselves, looking at their ult economy. Here comes a nano boost from far away, with the blade going down in for Choice One. He gets hit with a huge anti from Izayaki. Despite finding Izayaki first, he knows to back down. He knows he's not going to try to overcommit there. He gets that one pick, and he delays the Dragons even more. But they used up that nano boost from the Dragon side here, so Izayaki now having to rethink some things.
I think you can rely on Jimmy's overclock to be the next stall, potentially. You know, you've got that Graviton Surge. That tends to be the big panic. Oh my god, what's going on? Let me stop them real quick option. Might give Jimmy. But mind you, they could combo it. Like, Jimmy could just use the overclock, shoot through. The overclock railgun shots are going to cut through the teammates. It's a great source of pumping big damage into a lot of stationary targets.
Jimmy's got that unlocked. He's got the disruptor shot to control some space from the back from the Dragons. See Fate now, just trying to find Piggy. Trying to dance around the corner here at the same time before splitting their attention, putting down that barrier. Gets caught inside that grab here from Piggy, isolating Fate. That means the Dragons need to back away in time, but they were able to back away from the line of sight of Jimmy as quickly as they think, as Lip gets melted down as well. Now it's going to have to be a reset, and oh no, Lijia's gone. Yup, unfortunate right there, but it's what happens when you get caught on the side.
Okay, so that kind of went as expected. Piggy used the Graviton Surge solo on Fate. Jimmy pops the overclock, just pumps damage into Fate, who can't hide away from it, and then turns attention to the rest of the team. Good shutdown. They haven't beat that's the panic button. They could have used that to save Choice A1, but the burst was too quick from Fleta. And now the Dragons have an opportunity to take this payload over the line. They make this decisive. They have a lot of options.
Ooh, trade for trade though for the Sojourns. Fleta gonna be able to find Jimmy here as the Sound Barrier gets unleashed. Nano boost as well onto Piggy, trying to keep Piggy alive and dealing all that damage with this 90 charge already, while the Dragons are forced to back away without Fate. Fleta's gonna have that blade for the next fight here, and Izayaki already has that nano boost, so that's gonna be the win condition that Dragons want to rely on here. But now that huge time bank that they had, Trid, dwindled away right before their eyes. Now 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock.
Still contested on the high ground. They've got the ultimates here to brute force it. They didn't even need to use one to just take out far away. This is probably the best shot the Dragons are going to have with 2 down and no ults used. Due to clear the raid boss that is Piggy out of the way.
Izayaki says, get away from me as Fate comes in. The insurance policy to make sure that he gets to see another day, taking care of 2 while he's at it, and the rest of the Dragons only using that primal, looking fantastic for this next fight.
Piggy has to hit a fat grab here. They need to create like a meat blender here. They need to send Choice A1 in the blade, use Piggy's grab, clean this up. Nano boost is available for Izayaki and Fleta. Overclock from the top. Piggy can survive for a little bit. That bubble's going to mitigate some of the damage. Nice snipe there from Lip. He's just got oversight on them all.
Oh, nobody to contest Lip on the high ground yet, and the rest of the Dragons clean up the point with less than a minute on the clock. They take the payload to the finish line. It took everything that they got, though, and they even had to split up just ever so slightly to split the attention of the charge at the very end there.
Okay, and this is what's really important. They got it to sub 1 minute as well, so they're not locked out, even if they finish in overtime on their own attempt. So that's a good position for the charge to be in if they want to take the overall map. Completion, you obviously want to deny that, but hey, this is the next best alternative, I think, for them. So now it's time for their offense. Can they surpass the Shanghai Dragon time bank? We'll worry about that if we can even get to point C and see if they're close to capping themselves.
Loving the Sojourn playing that we were getting to see from both these teams so far. Yeah, she got hit with a nerf. That railgun energy gain isn't as high as it used to be on those barriers, turrets, etc. But man, such a good character here displayed from both Jimmy, Lip. Like the follow-ups that we're seeing as well between Fleta and Fate. Get started here again. They had such a large time bank though at the very beginning, riding a lot on that momentum, controlling so much of that space ahead of time. But that one stagger delayed them immensely, leaving less than a minute on the clock that you currently see.
Taking Lijegon's Brigitte on this one as well, so a bit of a change up for the Dragons. Does allow a little bit more skirmish power, and particularly just getting in the face of Piggy on those ground wars potentially might help check some of the flankers that might come in from charge as well. Still deciding that final lineup. Jimmy's going to take a pop shot with the Widowmaker. We'll probably change over to something more realistic. They can go over to the Sojourn. There's no reason for them to change. They'll check the angle. Got a little bit more time to play with than what they usually do on something like a Junkertown where they have to move quite quickly.
The Highland Lijegon also going over to this Brig. They do isolate Choice of One as a huge problem here, so this is great news for the Dragons, just trying to work around that. Jimmy going over to the Reaper, it seems. Taking their time to get through this choke point while Piggy tries to find an opening here. He's going to be able to try to go with Jimmy, but like we saw the first map, he doesn't even stand a chance to breathe in Lip's direction as he gets melted down. Lijegon as well doesn't find the shield bash onto Choi So-won, and Choi So-won is now melting onto this high ground, yeah.
Choi So-won obviously found his way into the back line there. Snuck around, still on the hunt. He sees Izayaki, he wants to go for it, but might be running into some respawns that are coming in. It's a good angle to have on Fate to stop the shot. Shurikens, lots of bursts being put in there. Winston, unsustainable position for them. Now you've got Piggy. It's not really contestable for the Dragons in any cohesive way. They might just be giving up point A at this one and trying to avoid getting staggered like they did to the charge when they rotated into point B on theirs.
A good call on them to just to disengage at this point. Holding this choke point where the corner is incredibly important to keep the stall going and waste away some of that time bank that the charge already have built up for themselves here. Jimmy again going right back to the Sojourn. Learning his lesson after what Lip has done to that Reaper every single time he tries to show his face. Holding on to this corner though, Trid, is going to be immensely important, looking at what that high ground is going to provide for the charge if they could try to utilize that. Fleta hanging out on the back line though. Doesn't have pulse bomb just yet, but could have an opportunity to sandwich them. Has to look out for Xerneas though, being on the Brig.
They have matched them now, so you have Brigitte versus Brigitte, mirrored support line. Anthony not going to find much value there for Farway. Cooldown still flagged all the same. Shanghai Dragons can move with a little bit of confidence until that comes back online, but Fleta has to grab a mini, find another angle in to try and harass this backline, causing distractions. Very slow moving payload right now until they break through this choke. Possible online, thrown into the back.
Got a little hit marker there, but isn't going to be able to get a pick. Piggy's got that grab. See Jimmy now finding Fleta as he tried to back away in time. The Dragons also backing away, but they saw the opportunity. They saw what was coming, and Choi So-won just slicing and dicing through the rest of the Dragons to control that corner. Fleta quickly makes a swap over to the Genji himself as the Dragons get wiped off from that side.
Choi doing work right now. When in doubt, Nano blade it out. The charge able to just cut through the Dragons as she highlighted. We'll get another contest here. There's still scope for another fight on point B before we move into the final section. Just can't let any picks come in here. Grab online for Piggy. Make it very difficult to try and push and contest this one. But if they can get that crucial ultimate out before point C starts, it does stop a bit of momentum that could come forward. But they have to try and force that ultimate though.
Used up already here. Just trying to get in some of that space while Fate is positioning himself through the back. Just put that attention here from the charge. He does have that Primal to reset just in case. Izayaki also with that Nano boost. Wondering here with Jimmy. About to get this overclock. Look at his position here. Look what he could do. He knows that Iziaki's right there.
He wants Iziaki!
He waited. He knew. Waited for the opportunity. Patience pays off. You activate the primal, but you get grabbed right into place on top of the payload. Jimmy is cleaning up the dragons, and what a way to start that fight.
With a fantastic pick on the Iziaki, one of the ultimate batteries you would do on charge. On the Shanghai Dragons, sorry, Iziaki would have been able to use that nano boost to empower maybe Fleta or Fate in that last fight. Doesn't mean they'll have it for the next section as well as the rally. But if you still see the power of the Sojourn, the charged railgun, the ability to just delete one person from the map, it's all too powerful, even in this new meta.
Liv's getting close to the overclock here. Jimmy didn't even have to use it. Choice of One finding Fate in a position now. Now the Dragons don't have control over that next corner here. The charge looking fantastic as Jimmy activates the overclock, still finding Lip himself. Now Lip can't even have an opportunity to save face here against Jimmy. Now Iziaki also goes down. The nano boost online for this next fight. But look at Picky's position. He's literally hugging the Dragons spawn room doors while they take their time to roll out.
Wake up, Custer. Jimmy, he's doing things. Choice of One's cut down. He's definitely going to need Jimmy to stand up now with only one damage dealer. I think this is good mitigation from the Dragons, though. They have been anti-healed, a good turning point.
Oh, far away also fell incredibly low. Both sides from both of those double antis managed to survive here as the Dragons forced their way back. But also getting that reflect, too. Reflect onto Jimmy's shot real quick. Looking pretty nice as the Dragons finally get to turn things around just ever so slightly before Fate manages to get away. They got the Nano Blade online here for the Dragons win condition.
Still unable to get to that payload at present. They've been picked off now. They're understanding that Lip can also delete people with the Sojourn. They'll hide around the corners. Piggy's grabs have guaranteed them another pick as well. Usually Fate tends to be the recipient of that when they dive in. Not really an answer for them. Lee gone with the Zenyatta. I feel like you'd want Iziaki on that one, but we'll see if Lee can make it work too. Piggy's angle's being shut down. They just want kind of more burst to bring into this fight. There's Fleta's blade cutting through. Choice A1, Jimmy, and finally shut down with the sleep. But Fate comes in to take over the rally, and he gets onto the back line. The supports will heal each other up, trying to escort themselves to the spawn room. They will get away safely. 2 minutes remaining in the Dragon's time bank.
Xerneas with a fly swatter, trying to force the Dragons back up just a little bit. Lee Gon does have that Discord Orb now, put in some of that extra pressure onto Choi So-won whenever he tries to dive in with that blade. They thought to themselves, the Brigida wasn't cutting it here. They want something more. They need more of that damage here to work with. Now the Dragons are going to be able to back away. Fate also with that primal to help reset once he's caught inside of that Piggy grab.
Going to get stored in the piggy bank. Needs to avoid that. Keep him going as Piggy then gets antied. Oh, no, that's bad. But the grab actually pulls Fate in before he can get the final punch and suckers him in the face. But Lip will be the one at range to do it with the railgun instead. The result is still the same. Nice trade back from Choi, brings out the blade. We need a huge sleep dart here, but the Transcendence comes out from Lee Gon, and it shuts down all the options for Fate to then be removed as well. Sub 1 minute remaining. Dragons, they just need to fight against a rally and the nano boost from the charge. They should be able to close out this map and tie out the series.
High stress here for the Dragons as Fate gets antied. He manages to back away. Love how these swaps from the Dragons with Lee Jae-gon going over to the Zenyatta has helped them immensely here. Transcendence denying that blade, denying the charge, that extra little push that they wanted right there at the very end. They also used up the grab earlier too, but they still got Jimmy, who's been absolutely highly impactful here for the charge. He's also got the overclock ready.
Pay attention to where these nano boosts are going over to.
Oh!
Well, it's Nano Lip with an overclock, so you better watch out, Jimmy. Unable to do that. That's the second kill. Looking for Piggy now. Piggy's got nowhere to run. Make it free! And the charge have no option. There's 10 seconds remaining, Vicky. No way they cap this over. 10-player kill streak, and Lip will close out King's Row in a solid fashion.
We're talking about Jimmy a lot there. The Nano Boost coming in from Iziaki in time for Lip. The desperate attempt to touch from Piggy isn't going to do it, and the Dragons even up this series 1-1 now.
Okay. Okay, Dragons, a lot better than what we saw in Nepal, able to come out with a map win as well to tie out the series. I love the adaptations that were coming in there. Choice A1 being an absolute menace. So was Piggy in the entirety of that map. But I think the Zenyatta was a good option for Lee Jae-gon to bring in. Transcendence cuts down the blade, helps with some of the burst and Piggy's survivability, where you just put a Discord orb on him when you're trying to chunk through in those tank fights. It was a good adaptation for the team to bring out, and it worked for them towards the end.
And now I'm wondering how that's going to work going into the third map that we have on our hands. Right now, the Dragons looking like they're adapting really quick here. I love these changes coming in from this team. It's still at the very end, though, it did look like they were juggling a lot from the charge, trying to figure out a way to rotate through their own ultimates. We're going to see if the charge continue putting on this aggression against the Dragons, or if the Dragons are going to keep this up now that they take the second map in their pockets. We're going to see on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone. The Guangzhou Charge versus the Shanghai Dragons. We got an even series on our hands, and with some adjustments, the Dragons are looking fantastic. Personally, I actually like the idea of the Brig originally there, but into the Zarya, I think the Zenyatta really allowed them to perform justice at the very end.
Yeah, if you can just constantly keep the pressure up on multiple targets when you just shift the Discord orb around, you know, at the end of the day, Piggy's only got 2 in the bank if you would do for those protective barriers. So if you can find a target that he's unable to protect, get a nice bit of burst, doesn't have the time to be able to wait and get that barrier on them. It's just one of the ways that the Orbit Discord can help deal with some of Zarya's oppressive damage. But of course, it mostly came down to just Fate just getting in the face of Piggy all the time. Most of the time getting grabbed and dying, but we saw a few instances where they were able to mitigate it, turn it around. Transcendence also a big boon to deal with Nano Blades that were constantly coming in from Choice A1 and Far Away. So yeah, good adaptation. Need to see what they bring to the next map. The next map is slightly different. There's long sightlines to be abused, and I wonder if the Sojourn is going to be enough, or we're going to see some moving away to the Widowmaker as we have done in previous matches.
Yeah, I'm wondering. We are moving on to Route 66, and seeing that it is an escort, I'm actually surprised. We're not getting a swap up like we did yesterday from the Dragons. They are sticking onto Fate. I believe beforehand they had brought in Void for the Sigma, which we usually get to see on escort for that shield, but looks like they are sticking to their guns. They are trying to be more consistent based off of what you were saying too, Trid. You want to see a more consistent Dragons here, and it looks like they are just trying to adapt around the picks that they want to go for, rather than just change up the entirety of the roster here.
Oh, they're definitely not changing as much as they were in yesterday's series, so that's good to see. Changes are coming purely from the compositional side or from the pick side, which is what I will love to see, and it's been working so far. Like I said, they got themselves the Zenyatta change, which worked out beautifully for them. There's plenty more to come in the series. We're only 2 maps in, Vicky, and we need someone to get the big old first to free to be able to close it out.
Let's see here as we get started. The Dragons looked so dominating originally on their attack on King's Row. They were unstoppable until the very, very end, before that last corner, where that finish line is for the payload. But they had a huge time bank originally. Charge couldn't fully hold them, though, like they were from the Dragons at the very end there. Now the Charge are going to be the ones to start off on the defense this time around. So let's see how the Dragons do in terms of their attack like they did last map.
Okay, nice setup for the Charge. They're still sticking with what's been working for them. Wondering who's going to be able to get up onto the gas station to deal with Far Away. No doubt there's going to be a nest for them for as long as possible. It's a good location to hold down. Fleta being able to get up there is probably going to be what they'll look for. As expected, Lip goes on to the Widowmaker to try and see if they can find a cheeky pick, but I imagine they'll roll out with the Sojourn once more.
On the Sin, just going to be able to boost everybody from the Dragons forward before making the swap themselves here. Trying to control a bit of that high ground real quick before Lip actually just tries to take a nice off angle, get some information to see the Charge are all positioned on top of that gas station real quick. Good position here for the Charge to hold to just make sure that they can build into Piggy's damage here while Jimmy's holding the back line at the same time. It's going to be a nice position for Jimmy because it's going to be really ultimately up to Fleta to be able to get into position and dive in with Fate to prevent Jimmy from getting a lot of that impact that he had in that last map.
They're going to use that shield bash to get over. There's a nice combo. Fate Ilios gone over the top, but there's a big enough unit to deter them. Just enough distraction to wheel the payload forward. Eventually, you wheel the payload fast enough. Oh, Lip! Okay. Choice A1 got the first assassination on the Sojourn. We were really looking for Fleta to be able to pull that off on Jimmy. It's not going to be an option. Good sleep dart. Ilios needs to get out.
Oh, they're just cleaning up shop real quick. They were playing pretty spread out, but the way that the Charge are able to deal with that, as well as Choice One taking full advantage of that mispositioning group from the Dragons, they were able to actually clean that up already. Getting a really good start here from the very beginning with that payload, just backing up ever so slightly before Fate manages to make his way back.
Attention over Piggy now. Fate's changed the options as well, wants to go over to the high ground rather than the court. He still has to deal with the problem. You jump one direction and then you're suddenly not dealing against Jimmy, who at range can then pick you off from afar. You need to be very careful about your target selection when contesting this composition. Fate can't go behind that sign. The second he does, he's going to run out of options for healing. He's got Ilios and Izayaki to support him. Really do work on the line of sight, and it's not as if they can follow him up there very easily unless Ilios goes for the shield bash across.
This gradual forced push from Fate to force him off the high ground while Jimmy finds Lip over the side. Every single time Fate tries to jump on top of this gas station, Charge just get into a position to not only pressure him, but also look at the rest of the Dragons from their sightlines right below them. Fletta's finally going to try to take a position from the back, but with no nano boost here as well from Izuyaki going down. Jimmy has just been on fire, taking these different angles here too. He's never in that same place where he gets that first pick before repositioning.
So there's two options for Jimmy on the Sojourn that's been played a lot here. He's playing on the off angle away from the team, so he splits the dive targets, or he just plays so far back behind. That's a good opening pick from Lip. Bubble will protect Choice One as he goes in with a Nano Blade though.
Oh, and he's going to be able to dive in, find 3 real quick. Not only did the bubble protect him, but he also had that nano boosted blade here too. Fleta does find Farway in the back line though. Oh, he didn't manage to move forward while the rest of the Dragons were getting sliced through by Choice One. Delayed the inevitable, but still the Charge hold their defense here on top of the gas station.
They've got time to play with here. Ultimates in the bank for the Shanghai Dragons. They're going to have to burn a lot of these to get through, I imagine. Nano boost overclock being popped by Jimmy. Graviton Surge thrown into the mix as well. This is super expensive for Charge. I'm worried for the economy on the next fight. If this one's a fast one or gets turned around just like this, it's a bit rough. You know, Charge were throwing a lot of ultimates into the bank. Couldn't find a pick. The Shanghai Dragons had plenty of tools still to use. They do just that, and they will definitely be getting an extension here.
Amazing shutdown from Lip onto Jimmy there too after he activated the overclock. You also saw the disruptor shot, and then you saw Piggy try to use that grab to try to bring everybody from the Dragons back in, but the Dragons answering right back. Jimmy actually contesting after making the swap over to the Tracer real quick, helping the survivability, waiting for the sound barrier. The Charger making sure that they can dwindle this entire time bank away from the Dragons with less than 10 seconds on the clock.
Xerneas will get fucked down. It's going to be shot down out of the sky. Piggy disrupting on the Doomfist, but like I said, this pretty much you're just going for stagger at that point, unless you had some miracle push, which the Shanghai Dragons have managed to do in the Summer Showdown. They have now got that extension they were looking for, and Charge just faltering as they go back to the spawn room.
Okay, Trade, you could call it the Summer Shutdown. That's what the Dragons are trying to do right now. And you get that momentum right back in their favor, especially after taking that last map. Again, that first series that they played was just yesterday versus the Dynasty. They couldn't take one single map. They looked incredibly lost here. See the disruptor shot getting put out as Fate is going to be able to control that space. Very similar situation to what we saw in King's Row when the Dragons managed to get that first point. They get the stagger kills onto Charge, and they are going to be able to try to hold some of that extra space on the high ground. But Charge, once again, actually playing very split up, not really allowing Fate to isolate one target down as he manages to find the opportunity onto Farway.
Doesn't need to isolate one target, he just pummels them all the same.
Yeah, he's just slicing right through them with the arms.
Yeah, just flailing everywhere, hitting them with the old windmill. One pick seems to be enough to mute the Charge for now. This has been a rapid payload push through point B. Getting all the way round to that final corner now, not really with it being contested. Piggy's back on the field, as is the rest of the team. He's already low, having to use a bubble. He's on the back foot, can't play aggressively right now. He's going to rely on Jimmy. Which Choice One go down first. Piggy get a nano boost. He's going to try and go for the rundown. He's only sat at 35 energy though, so he's not the most damage output you'd expect to find from him so far. He does end up getting Lip for his challenge once more. Disruptor shot as well makes it untenable for Fate to stay there, gives some breathing room to the Charge, and they're able to stabilize.
Fate's survivability though, as not only did he get slept, the nano boost was put onto him while he did activate his ability to try to go through the back line real quick. You saw Piggy also with that nano boost onto him, and like you mentioned, didn't have a lot of that charge, but still the Charge were able to try to clear some of that space. Now the dive in blade for blade between Choice One and Flip. The difference is here though that Choice One has a sound barrier to help him out ever so slightly as Izuyaki takes him down. The focus is onto Jimmy in the back with that overclock, gonna be able to shut down Fleta. Dragons now down 3 apiece here for the Charge now to be able to move forward. Choice One making some swaps over to the Sombra.
Could be a nice surprise tactic here in what will be the final fight of point B. Shanghai Dragons sprinting to the point, hoping they can get Legion on sound barrier on. They're running into Piggy's grab. How many times has this happened, Vicky? How many times have Shanghai Dragons come down to the wire and they have to run into a Piggy Graviton Surge?
Point blank in the chokehold, in the doorway. Where are you going? Gotta hold on to at least the overtime ticking away. If you're not on that payload here, Lip does manage to find Piggy. It's a good big pick here, but Choice of One making this swap over to the Sombra has allowed them to take care of the DPS lineup from the Dragons. Nobody left to touch, and they get held right before that second point.
It's totally achievable. Charge set a good benchmark for them to move into. Just need to clear through point A, most of point B. Once again, Shanghai Dragons find themselves with an ult economy disadvantage running into these final fights. Piggy's ultimate accumulation in this series has been fantastic. Always seems to have them available at the pivotal times. And like you said, Vicky, just pumping it face first in that choke, which meant that there was no way they were going to take a direct route. I was kind of worried into that fight though, because Fate is obviously playing the Winston, so it does mitigate some of the stealth you could have if you're playing with the team on a Sombra. And I saw that the Sombra get uncloaked. I was like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good at all. They're going to lose them so early into the fight. And then all of a sudden, just the go button for the entirety of the charge. The ultimate goes down. They press Q. They win the fight. Simple as that.
Just getting away from that situation. So important there too. Survivability. Definitely highlighted here for the charge. Once again, you know, this team has gone through some changes throughout the season. Amazing, talented players here. The Dragons coming off from winning the Summer Showdown. This meta change really highlighting that the Dragons are still just trying to adjust here. They managed to adjust in that last map like we saw before. They're going to be able to try to contest here the charge already onto that high ground, but they have to get a lot more aggressive here.
There's a lot of options here for Ted to take space where the Shanghai Dragons couldn't. Jimmy can teleport behind. Choice of One's able to get up there as well. We won't have a tank that can join the fray, but if you're looking for a pick on the back line, you don't have to worry about protected barriers. This damage lineup's good for the charge. It has options to just take Lijagon, Izayaki out of the fight altogether. You see they're going up to Big Earls to try and get that done right now.
Jimmy trying to now to be able to get a lot more out of this Reaper, but he gets shut down. The moment he tries to get into position like we have seen whenever Jimmy has opted to roll out with the Reaper, he constantly is getting shut down. That space has not been granted over to the charge, even with that bubble from Piggy. Now the rest of the Dragons are going to be able to take full advantage of this, try to dwindle as much time away from the charge while holding forward a little bit, but you got to respect this as Jimmy did surf over the Widow just real quick to make sure anybody from the Dragons are out of misposition, and now the Reaper's coming right back out.
So first fight muted, definitely wasn't going the way that Charge were expecting. I want to see where Fleder is, just holding close on this corner, contesting the payload, so the team doesn't have to drop down. Fate's free to go and jump onto the backline when he sees an opportunity, or defend the support up there on the high ground. Jimmy, the opportunity to teleport, goes in with the bubble, just to make sure it's not broken apart. Went for the payload instead. Didn't think they were able to get on top of Big Earls, but he does get them underneath the gas station, and this is where they can start pushing. Fate is able to contest from just getting over to the edge of Big Earls, though, so someone will need to go up there and clear him out. Far away, lost their life before a fight even kicks off.
Good news here. Fleda also has that pulse bomb ready. Trying to find an opportunity here, as he is shooting down on that bubble, though. Have to be careful. Piggy, though, is out from this fight, so that damage is going to be reset real quick. Dragons looking great for this defense, though. They're going to have a plethora of ultimates to work with.
Jimmy's waiting. I wonder what he can get away with here. Just going to hold it until the team regroups, make sure they can't get picked off, and then go for another teleport up onto high ground. Ultimates on the board for Shanghai Dragons. Overclock. If Lip can create some space, open up the sight lines, Lip gives him difficulty. Jimmy TP's to safety, challenge Fleder, get them off the payload, get it in motion as well. But Fate, they still need to find a way to remove the monkey.
Fate's been doing a really good job, but the dive in from Choice of One, while Fate was already slightly low from Jimmy, and the sound barrier to put the charge into position despite Farway falling down early here. Now you're going to have Choice of One activate the blade, try to slice. He's found Lip. He's find somebody else, going to find Li Jaegan in the back before trying to isolate Izayaki at the same time. It's going to have to be a reset from the Dragons, but good news for the charge as they are going to be able to get that payload to that first point. Once again, totally see what Jimmy's trying to do here in dealing with the Winston on this Reaper, dealing with Flood, of course, being on the Tracer. He just needed to have some of that extra time, so the patience once again showing that it pays off for the charge.
Yeah, and you had Choice One with the Genji blade just Goomba stomping people, just bouncing on top of them from above. They have to like use all directions in their axes to try and track where he is. Great cut downs onto multiple members of the Shanghai Dragons. Really eats away at the ultimate advantage that they were able to have. Lip attempted to use the overclock, but Choi still had deflex. Choi immediately went there and got in the face of Lip and shut him down altogether. Big ante onto Choi and Piggy. No kills converted from it.
Fleta having his own little battle in the back. Fate holding the high ground now as he jumps away. Oh, he does have that nano boost though. Here comes Fleta missing out on the pulse bomb. Pretty crucial here. Big deal. Far away gets taken down here. But he's got the hands of Xerneas to hold them together. Nice ante onto Faraway, but the nano boost has been unleashed. Here comes the grab once again to deal with Fate. Fate manages to get away just in time. He also gets put to sleep. He has no opportunity while that Primal is just going to waste away.
Back to safety at the end of it, though. Good shut down once more. That's what we've been seeing from a lot of the Arms this series. Down Blossom, look at the boop up into the heavens! What was the Beyblade that used to have a spring in the base of it? That's what happened to Jimmy right there. He just got launched into the sky, well above and out of range where he could hurt the rest of the Shanghai Dragons. Fantastic. I'm going to guess that was the flail from Lee Jae-gon to keep them safe. Lucio or Brigitte, he still knows how to make people move to the sound of his beat.
Still finding a lot of these picks here too. Choi Suwon trying to have an opportunity to find Lip, but the way that Fate has been able to split his attention and all these different angles has been incredible. Onto the high ground, he cleans up the DPS lineup from the Dragons. Fleta's forcing them off. Fleta's doing what we saw yesterday actually, where he's trying to split some of that attention away from the opposing team. He didn't isolate Faraway the way that he wanted, but he was still that extra pressure that they had to think about when Fate wanted to dive in with the Primal, and they had to actually use that grab to contain Fate and just waste away with that Primal as well as that Sleep Dart.
Sustains up the team. 1 minute 20 left for the charge. It's still possible for him to complete this map. Take him to match point. Choi gets away, nice dash, he's in pursuit. Fate is right behind him. Good separation from the team, but he's found a way onto the high ground. Has to try and use the deflect to stay alive. They did good spacing. Great answer to Choi Se-won there to shut down that ultimate purely with positioning at that point.
Ichigon said, I have the rally. You're really going to try to contest me right now? And Choi Se-won said, maybe if I drop down real quick, break some angles. Wait, nope, that's not going to work. You have a flail. Mosquito whipping him away, and now the charge. Gonna have to go for a reset. Less than a minute on the clock for them to try to get this payload at least closer to that point B where the Dragons ended up getting held up from.
There's that Primal Rage locked in the corner. 30 seconds remaining now for the charge. Being committed by Xerneas just to keep him in the game. They're relying on Piggy's grab once more. Jimmy switched over to the Ash. Bob might make an appearance, but they've been pulse bombed out of the fight by Fleta. Running out of time, running out of options.
Lip does have that overclock, and they find Xerneas on top of that last fight territory here for the charge. Xerneas going down. Piggy having that grab. Going to be that last hope. You have less than 10 seconds, though. You got to at least touch a foot onto this payload.
6 seconds. I think Piggy's going to have to run out and expend the barrier just on themselves to make sure they don't get knocked back just like that. He yeets the grab. They lock Lip in place. They want him gone, but Lip once again becoming the Torbjorn turret he was designed to be. Shuts down charge. And now I don't see them being able to complete this whatsoever. A couple more melees far away, able to get the bio to heal himself back up, keep him out of range, and Shanghai Dragons take us to match points.
Once again at the very end, always Lip making sure that they are the threat that the charge have to worry about. I mean, if that grab didn't speak for it, you definitely see what the results from Lip alone at the very end of these maps. Dragons taking map number 3 now, Trid, putting them at match point currently 2-1 versus the charge.
Strong position for them to be into. They can still close out with a 3-1 scoreline, which will maybe not be as so shocking to the North American audience as they begin to wake up. But now, I believe we're heading over to a push map as well, which is a 10-minute slog of continuous fighting. I wonder if there'll be any adaptations rolling out from either of these teams to be able to fit into more of that style.
Gonna have to see about that, especially when it comes to push. A lot could happen here for the teams, especially those first 2 minutes. And both the Charge and the Dragons are taking their sweet time at the start of a lot of these fights. We're gonna see New Queen Street on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone, to our first series. The Dragons currently sit at match point. Things looking more normal here, Trid, on the other side when it comes to APAC. But the Charge doing a pretty good job so far trying to contest the Dragons. But even though the Dragons were held back from that second point, their defense is what mattered at the very end.
Look, they're making them work for it. That's the most important part. This doesn't look easy for the Dragons at this rate. So, fantastic work from the Charge to put in that performance. What does that say about APAC? Well, if we go by the results-based analysis, Vicky, I mean, come on now. LA Valiant, they're like the third best team, right? I mean, Avril even tweeted it, right? Avril tweeted it yesterday, so I don't know. That's like gospel at this point. He is Mr. APAC.
So many crazy things happening everywhere. Washington, too, coming out of NA, trying to fill in that same slot as the LA Valiant. I mean, you never know what to expect here from our two top three teams, of course, as we move on to the next map. Once again, we are going on to New Queen Street, our push map here. We see the Dragons excel on plenty of times. Now the Charge, though, with Piggy on their side.
Lip Sojourn was fantastic on this last stage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and being uncontested as well. You know, Choi has been trying. Piggy has been putting that bubble onto Choi. Jimmy even rolling out a few times on the Reaper to deal with, you know, Fate, Fleta on the Tracer, Fate on the Winston. They're trying, but Lip has just been taking these angles that is so difficult. I mean, Lip straight up at the very end stared down that grab and said, I don't care, and managed to clean up the rest of the Charge, because who was going to contest Lip on the high ground right there when you had to escape from that choke point that the Dragons were already holding?
Common problem. Dragons just being a little bit too late sometimes, also trying to contest these points with the Graviton surges. Hopefully that's not something that they run into on New Queen Street. Just absolutely not gone for a fight whatsoever here. They've completely ignored them and they've just let them just set up and play at range. Jimmy and Lip gonna have a field day here.
I feel like we're playing musical chairs. I love these rotations though and these elongated fights at the very beginning, because it really does show the patience from both these teams, just trying to take full advantage of that one pick that's so important. Like we saw in the last game, it was Choi onto Izuyaki, I believe. I currently see Jimmy making Fate fall incredibly low. He also got hit with an anti on top of that. Amazing first pick here for the Charge already, getting some progress on that push bot.
So always the risk as well when Fate's going in isolated. They are playing at range, but if the sightlines get disrupted for even a second, and that Bionade lands, what's saving Fate? What is going to keep that main tank up? When you lose that tank, look how much space you are losing, and that gets converted into objective with Ward. So much easier for the Charge, and they get that payload in motion about 20 meters out of just one pick.
You see the attempt from Fleta also just trying to not only split some of that attention, so that way he could try to deny some space while Fate makes his way back, but kind of acting like a tickle on Piggy's side. Now going to be able to dive right in. Fate going to be able to have that opportunity to finally buy in some of that extra space, but the immediate disengage from the Charge to reposition. They see what the Dragons are doing on top of this bridge. They're trying to actually put them in a sandwiching situation here, and the back and forth between the push bot was still more of that contention from the Charge is still there. Here is a stuck though as he gets dove in. What? Oh, that pulse bomb also put in so much damage onto Piggy at the same time. The Dragons clean up the entirety of the Charge off of that one play alone.
Did Xerneas deliver that pulse bomb to Farway?
Yes. Yes. He actually said.
Like, so Piggy gave,
your pizza's here.
Piggy gave Xerneas the barrier which stopped him from dying. And he was like, good guy Xerneas, like, well, you still need to take a support, so far away, get over here. I'm safe, you're not, and just ran at him. What are they doing?
Oh, you gotta tip your pizza delivery guy here, all right? You gotta deliver all the stuff here. His choice at one now with the blade. He gets put to sleep, but he still finds two big picks here from the Shanghai Dragons. And now the rest of the Charge delivering right back to the Dragons what was delivered to them earlier on, except not in the image of the pulse bomb. It was Choice of Wan's blade that was able to clean that up.
To be fair, if I ordered a pizza and a blade arrived instead, I would be a little bit confused. I would be sad about it at the end of the day. I'd be like, okay.
Actually, it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome
to
just be delivered a sword. Fleta's fine. Pretty awesome to be delivered a sword, but like, if I want a pizza, I can't eat the sword. Like, you know?
You could use it to cut up the pizza, though. All right,
what
here we go.
Pizza? There wasn't a pizza delivered.
Oh, you're right. There is no pizza. You have some pizza steel instead. Lige gone, getting caught in that grab real quick while Piggy cleans him up. Fate also popped the Primal while staring down Choice of Wan's blade. I mean, that's a blade that I would like delivered to me real quick if it'll help me out with my games the way it's helping out the Charge right now. And they are going to be able to get some extra progress here with the push bot.
Yeah, on the cusp of that checkpoint as well. Get the forward spawns. No one's in position to touch that one. Fate can't get there in time. Forward spawns unlocked for the Charge, and they just domed him as well. Oh, this is not good for Dragons. They're going to lose so much off the back of this as well. Forward spawns and a first pick on that fight. Good progress going to be made into the outer sections of this map for Charge.
That was a follow from the Disruptor shot, too. These Disruptor shots from Jimmy, again, it's controlling so much space, especially around these close quarters and these corners. Now the Dragon's going to be able to move up. Have the opportunity. Look at the rest of the Charge there. Just stuck on the side. But it has that pulse from. He unleashes it. Doesn't get a single person here while Lip does move up. He's about to get the overclock himself. Choice of One's been a problem in the back lines, but Fate handles it as Lip also was trying to quickly divert their attention. Jimmy also in an off angle, so they're pretty spread out real quick. Here's the Charge now with Piggy having that nano boost. Is going to be able to hold forward here. Not only
he's got 100 charge as well.
But he's at 100 charge, exactly. He melts down Iziyaki. He doesn't even get to blink. He's going to be able to melt down this barrier. He's going to try to melt down Fate. He knew the situation. Fate tries to get away. Still trying to stay to contest even then. And Piggy then cleans up Lip. The rest of the Dragons sticking around a little bit too long around Piggy after that nano boost with that 100 charge.
Yeah, Choi so far back, and this is what was really good. Fate wasn't, like, the rest of the Shanghai Dragons were able to push away around the corner of the rest of the Charge lineup. So Choi Se1 was getting zero support from his backline when he was so deep, and he ended up losing his life for it. It was a great opener for the Dragons, but ultimately turns around because Piggy went raid boss mode and decided to take control of the map altogether. Overclock for Lip, relatively decent sight lines. Choi puts the blade in front of him. That was so risky. Barrier's gone. Ooh. Cuts down Lee Jae gone, then finds Lip immediately afterwards with the reset. That's what he needed to connect the dots, and this is almost insurmountable for the Dragons now, Vicky. 4 minutes 45, and they are on the cusp of pushing it to completion on New Queen Street.
I feel like I was watching a horror movie from Lip's point of view. Yeah, looking down Choice of One, just looking at him getting closer and closer while he tries to run away, but then trips at the very end. Look at Piggy's position, though. He's got the grab ready. They call him out. He's forced to back away just in time. He tried to rejoice in that choke point, but Lip does not let him get away. Nails him right in the head here. Nails Xerneas right afterwards. The rest of the Charge force it back away. Good amount of time to actually reset this here, but the Dragons now getting some of these trades. Choice of One still managed to find two. But again, the Dragons come out on top from this fight.
Piggy has a grab. What will he do? Should be able to cut this open quite quickly. Look how fast the bot's moving back to the central point. Might be able to just get it there to reset it and put it back in the middle of the map, but they won't get much further. The beauty of what Charge can do right now is they can just hold the bot here. They don't even need to contest it. They don't need to push it any further. 110 meters to 33. That's such a gap that the Dragons will have to close at some point if they're to win this map.
It's huge. It's so difficult when it comes to push as a mode in general. Here comes the nano boost. Fleta's about to get that blade soon. Piggy's also put to sleep. Gonna be looking up real quick right now, but doesn't he even have the chance to blink before getting taken away by Iziyaki and Fleta? Doesn't even have to use the blade here too. Great conservation of the Dragons and their ultimates right now, understanding the situation of how far they have to push this push bot in general. But they still have the Primal, they have the blade, but Piggy has the answer right back to that with the Grav.
They're still gonna have to trade up. Just where the ult charges across the board, they're gonna end up trading up here. And like I said, they have the distance. I think they're about to unlock forward spawns, but I think Dragons can also contest them on this one and deny that. Nano boost available, out of range, doesn't give it over to the blades. This is vanilla for Choice A1.
Oh.
Still makes it work.
Oh, he's going to try to chase him down. He wants to get 3 possible here. He's going to find him. They're going to try to sandwich him at the same time. Fleta's just trying to run for his life, but Choice at Juan has him in his sights. Jimmy on the sidelines. Fleta like, why can't you just take your own fights here? Having to have Jimmy hold your hand, gonna be able to find him now. That's extra space for the Charge.
Dishonest.
And it's beautiful because look at this here too, Trid. You have 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock. And even though we've been seeing some of these trades, it's the Charge that get most of that momentum with the bot.
Just the way the map is positioned currently, the lead they built for themselves earlier in the map. Like I said, they don't even need to get any more progress on their side. They just need to deny progress at this point. Just holding on to the bot for now. 3 ults in the line for Shanghai Dragons. Lijigon's gone down. Blade from Fleta. Vic slept. There's no support. No. Shanghai Dragons That would have been good. You might have been able to make it work if you had Fate to potentially jump in there and cause some disruption, but you just picked apart one by one. And the Charge can get the bot back to where they started a couple of minutes ago, right outside the spawn room of the Shanghai Dragons.
That series of events was disgusting. You saw Four-Way take care of Fate. Xerneas finish him off. Could even pop the Primal. Meanwhile, Fleta tried to go for the follow-up potentially that was supposed to come with the Blade. He got shut down immediately by Jimmy. Jimmy doing what he does best here. Is now Lip is going to be able to activate the overclock himself. Just trying to control the sideline right here, but you could really see the Charge just trying to hold that next corner, try to get out of his line of sight. They still find Fate in the progress.
Shutting down the main tank. That Primal Rage, they need that tool. They need Winston on point to contest this one. Everyone else is probably going to get melted away. Thankfully, Piggy's got limited charge for the time being, but that'll change very quickly as they get up to the 60s, and that's when they become a damage threat. That's when the real lasering begins. Graviton Surge on Fate. Nano Boost given over just to keep him up. They need to keep Fate alive here. They're going to do just that as he heads to the back line. Slept by Far-Away. Take a nap.
Didn't use the Primal just yet, though, here. Lip now finding Jimmy. Piggy going down. Great news here for the Dragons after how that last fight went down. They also are still holding on to the Sound Barrier. They didn't have to use the Primal. They went through the exchange of having that grab already used up by Piggy. You saw the sleep coming out from Fate. He still didn't pop the Primal after that. He saw the pace coming in from the rest of the Dragons and decided to hold back, just be able to control some of that space while getting some extra progress on the bot.
11 seconds remaining, though. Shanghai Dragons, they just need to win consecutive fights. They can't lose a fight now, Vicky. They lose one, then we are going to go to map number 5 to seal the deal and see who walks away. If they can win it out here, have a gargantuan overtime comeback, then close out the series with a 3-1 scoreline.
Comeback story is what I love to see on push as a game mode here. Choice of One has that Blade. Try to find that opportunity here. That's the win condition as Jimmy unleashes the overclock real quick. Look how patient the rest of the Dragons are playing here. Overtime ticking away. I mean, they have to stay on this ball no matter what. Keep it contested. Here comes the Sound Barrier, though. Doesn't engulf Izayaki just yet. Blade coming in with the Blade. Finding Jimmy, finding Xerneas. The Dragons are looking to do it right now, Trid, but they can't get off this bot. They need to be able to take another fight after this.
All right, get the forward spawns unlocked. Still got a way to go. No ultimates left in the tank. Blade, Nano Boost, Sound Barrier as well for charge. They're going to need picks. They're going to need them good. We're looking towards Choice A1 to be able to jump.
Oh, they got off!
Oh!
Oh, no!
They Shang-9'd!
No!
They Shang-9'd. Oh, map
They
number
heard
5 it is
Blade.
then, I guess.
They heard it and they moved. They moved away. I mean, Lip had overclock. If Lip had a huge play right there, that would have been great. I mean, the Charge, yeah, the Charge had a lot to work with. Look at their ult economy, even when they died after that last fight. But Lip could have made a huge play. I had faith, especially with that positioning that you could hold by that window that stares down the spawn point. Oh, they got off the point. The Blade had so much respect from Choice A1, and now the Charge even up this series, Trid.
Blade must have had some Conqueror's Haki infused in it. It's the only way that they would have been able to back away from it. They didn't want to challenge it at all. We're going to a break. When we come back, map number 5, Charge, Dragons. Ooh, I don't know how this one's going to go, Vicky.
We're going to have to see on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone. The Shanghai Dragons have become the Shanghai Dragons, and we are seeing map number 5 in this even series between the Shanghai Dragons and the Guangzhou Charge. And Shirid, why does this happen all the time?
Look, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare that it happens right at the end of New Queen Street. Yes, was it going to be tough for the Shanghai Dragons to be able to match it running into free ultimates from the Charge? Yes, of course so. We had a choice. One Blade coming out. There was always going to be difficulties trying to get around that. But the Shanghai was a bit of a problem. Like I said, I think it's unlikely the Dragons would roll out with the win there anyway. It still stings a little bit to see it happen like that. But it does open us up for a map number 5, so we will be going back to a control map type to close out the series. I was just thinking, reflecting on this as well. Despite going 5 maps, Vicky, it has actually been quite a quick series nonetheless. Like, yeah, just in duration of time, right? Probably been in the match for what, like about just about an hour and 20 minutes. We usually like allocate that kind of time for like maybe 3 maps, 4 maps, depending on where they go. But we've gone the distance and we're just hitting that threshold now. So surprisingly fast today.
Yeah, it's about those holes that we saw both on Kings Row and on Route 66 that really do contribute to that. But it also highlights the quick adaptation that both of these teams have managed to kind of flow into to deal with one or the other. You know, highlighting what we've seen so far from Lip, Fleta changing over to Genji to actually try to get more out of what he's been able to try to get. Even the Tracer at the very start too, getting a lot of that high impact at the very beginning with those pulse bombs, trying to get that really quick. But I really like the way that the Dragons are trying to play into this. I mean, you don't see the Sombra coming out like we've been expecting from APAC because it's the Zarya. I mean, it's Piggy that we're dealing with here on the Guangzhou Charge. So the Dragons having to make that adjustment after their series versus the Dynasty yesterday, it's pretty impressive to see how quick they have been able to make some of those changes. Yeah,
we're jumping into Ilios though, Vicky. I don't know if you can get the way with the Zenyatta necessarily on the Ilios. I don't know what we're going to have. We had Reaper on Ruins, which also bugged me a little bit yesterday, but it worked out fantastically for them. So as we jump into map number 5, we'll kick things off on Ruins, as I've already kind of alluded to. I expect Charge to run out with the exact same composition they've had all day, Vicky, because they have been making the Dragons work at every step for this one. Even if Dragons win, you might want to be looking at your Charge stonks for the rest of the stage.
Again, these pickups, they're looking great. Looking like a whole different team out here for all the right reasons. Now getting set up on our final map. Excited to see what we have to bring out. See Jimmy coming out with the Reaper again. We're going to stick to what we've been getting a lot of that progress with the Sojourn. Absolutely love the Disruptor shot and the way that Jimmy has been able to control a lot of the space with the shot in general. But it looks like the Dragons are actually going to be changing things up a little bit. While Fleta actually allows the rest of the Dragons to move forward real quick. He's going to make the swap himself to the Reaper. Ooh, I know Ilios doesn't like saying this one, but we are going to be able to see it this time around on this last map.
They've got control of the Mega as well, so it's a great base to work from for the Shanghai Dragons using the Sombra. I want to keep an eye on where Lip is, though. Where's he sneaking? Who's he targeting? Fleta's not sneaky enough, apparently, as they were chipping his backside as he poked it out. Must have cake shaped like a pea to be spotted around that pillar.
Sometimes that cloak could be a bit thicker than you think here. Jimmy's going to be able to hold the other side. See that Disruptor shot once again. Going to be able to control that little bit of a ramp space. Also holding onto the high ground. Lip also taking a quick nap. Our way on point with some of these sleeping darts. Zerny's once again going to get the fall. Very similar situation was set up in that last map versus Fate. Now Izayaki also on the Moira, falling incredibly low, trying to back away in time. Doesn't, because Piggy's on both of their tails. Also get puts into position thanks to Xerneas here, and the Charger actually going to get this point first.
And I love the Disruptor slot placement on the ramp. You knew that was the angle they wanted to play against. You see how tanks do it all the time. They play on the corner of the angle, and they always want to try and peek around for a little bit of damage, peek back, and just tater-tot around that angle. If you have a Disruptor shot on the corner, and you have a good sightline to be able to pick in damage, then, well, it's an untenable position for Fate. He just gets chipped away and poked down, and so much resource has to go in just to hold the angle that the team wants to fight on.
Saw that immediate swap up to Fleta going over to the Genji. See here, Choice Ones are already about to have Blade. Nice ult economy in favor for the Charge. Dragon's going to try to match that with Fate now moving forward. Liv wanting to get into position here. Charge already holding forward themselves. The quick disengage, though, as they patiently just wait for the Dragons so that way they can get into position. Look at the way that Jimmy's already all over to the side.
Now looking towards that Dragon Blade. Where's it going to go? Who's going to get shot? Who's going to get sliced? Nano boost almost available for them. Piggy's gone down. Good shot from Lip. They don't have a position to contest here now, Vicky. They're going to commit the blade anyway. They want to try and salvage this. Jimmy's on the back foot as well, as Choi will cut through with the nano blade. Need the third kill to level it out, but they're still fighting an uneven fight. Fleda alive, Fate and Lee Jae-gon still holding strong. Lip comes in. It does not actually charge, holding on to the point for the time being. They're getting up here. They finished the turnaround, getting picked off. They did this entire thing without Piggy, Vicky.
What? And now the grab gets put in, doesn't find anybody. Well, Fate is in the primal, just bouncing away, flailing his hands like he's at a concert right now. He is going to be able to help out his own survivability, but like you said, Trick, Dragons have not been able to flip the point after using everything that they had in their arsenal basically here. Minus Fleta about to get the blade. Now he's taking a quick nap. He won't even be around anymore. The only thing he's going to be waking up to is the spawn room doors. And the rest of the Dragons now, their plan completely foiled by the Nano Blade. Overtime taking away and not a single head in sight from the Dragons.
100-0 dominance from the charge there, Vicky. Dragons had an opening. They got a pick on Piggy. He had the grab available for them. That's a big removal from the board. They even had Jimmy on the back foot. You saw Jimmy with less than like 10 HP. But it's Choi's blade. Kills 2, buys some space. Piggy comes back. And for the first time, he's going to change over. Piggy's going over to the Winston, it looks like, for this round.
Oh, okay.
I feel like the Zarya. I think the Zarya might be a little bit too vulnerable around the well potentially here, just because when you think about it, like if the barrier goes, it doesn't take a lot for a Lucio to knock you straight into the pit, and you're going to be playing around quite close to that if you're holding choke points. So it wouldn't surprise me as that's one of the reasons that Piggy might want to go for the Winston here.
It's a really good point. Now we're going to see the Sombras come out full force.
They bumped into each other.
Exactly what they wanted. They know. They already knew.
Look. I love the overhead look. You see them walk into their path slightly alter, and you see the way they're looking looks back in the direction, and then carries on with what they were doing.
Love the appreciation here, as well as the fact that Fleta got incredibly sandwiched by Choice One and Jimmy. Piggy getting hit with the anti as he's going to be able to back away, as well as getting hacked. Lip somehow manages to survive in that. But again, it's the positioning from the charge that allows them to get this point first. This is insane right now. Looking at the way the charge has pushed the Shanghai Dragons, the winners of the Summer Showdown, to their limits.
Rush backs up against the wall on the back foot again in this map as first cap getting that way. Lee Jae-gon hacked up, nearly was able to disrupt it against Jimmy. Good assistance coming in there. They just deny it. That should have been Lee Jae-gon dead, by all rights.
He gets to see another day, but Izuyaki can't say the same. That was also a huge ante coming in. Biggie also getting hacked. He's going to be able to come right back in. Again, he's going to be able to clean up Lip. The Dragons are just getting staggered. They're getting split up, and they are getting torn apart here. Already 40% on the board for the charge.
Looking for that EMP to be the bunker buster. You ground Piggy. Deny his shields, turn him into an ult battery, farm him if you would do, and get that main tank off the field. Jimmy's also got a plan of their own. They're holding on to that EMP. One wrong step, one wrong misposition, you'll get locked out of the fight yourself, and then you will not be able to deal with Piggy yourself at all.
Oh, look at this. Lip with the EMP, though. An EMP to answer right back. The charge only really losing out on Xerneas in that situation. The Nano Boost still coming in from far away as Fate pounces onto Jimmy, taking care of him. He's also going to be sleeping. Far away finally gets hacked while he was in that side room originally, but he finds Lip. Lip can't finish him off. Oh, that was insane here. The Dragons are trading with the charge. But the survivability from the charge members are incredible. They're going to be able to back away, at least far away is, and the rest of the Dragons can finally plant their feet on this point.
Well. 79% and climbing for charge. Shanghai Dragons have a long way to go on this one. Got 79%. There's the rally coming out from Xerneas. Piggy hacked for the time being. Going to be slept as well. Unable to pull out with the primal rage for the time being. Pulse one thrown in the mix. Izuyaki can't escape the room and will go down. Charge are going to wrestle back control at this point. And they're going to enter this round and this series into a one-fight scenario.
Already 80% and climbing here for the charge. Look at Choice of One's positioning. Also got to highlight that nice little cheeky small body block that he also had when Izayaki had to turn around in that doorway there. Can't escape that pulse bomb whatsoever. They got to touch the point here, Trid. The Dragons, they have 3 ults to work with. They're going to pop the rally immediately.
They have to get onto the point and they have to try and retain positioning. Xerneas being dropped is a great start. Piggy can stall for time if they want to. They're at 99%. They have certain luxuries here because of the advantage they have over the Shanghai Dragons. Piggy's been on low HP for ages, far away, unable to actually heal them at this point. The anti-nade landing onto Fate and Lee Jae got no conversions there. Still being challenged. Overtime ticks down. Fate will be the last Winston standing as Piggy goes to the grave with the ultimate. But like I already highlighted, Vicky, Shanghai are only at 30% when this started, so that does mean that Charge have time to regroup, throw an ultimate fight at a very expensive fight at the Dragons, win it out, and by virtue of doing that, take the series.
Lip is tired of it. Lip is tired of Farway. Farway's positioning has been amazing. And also, yeeting these antis has constantly been hitting Xerneas, or rather Fate and Lee Jae-gon. Not Choice of One, hanging out by the side. About to get pulse. You see Lip ready with the EMP, unleashes it onto Piggy, who leaps and then blinks and then is back in the spawn room doors. They take care of him real quick here, and they need to. 73% and climbing here as Jimmy's now the one to activate that EMP onto Fate. Fate is going to be able to back away just in time. He gets put to sleep. He can't catch a break, but this is what he's been used to throughout the series.
Neither can Piggy. Piggy might get shut down here as well. They need his ultimate in this fight. We're in last fight territory, back in the favor of Shanghai Dragons, though. There's no longer that advantage, that luxury they once had. Choi, round 2.
Getting the support here too. The charge looking fantastic. They got to stay on this point. 99% in favor for the Dragons, but tries to get away, but Choi doesn't let him get away in time. Choi having the hugest impact at the very end right here. Overtime ticking away, but the Dragons are trying to stall for as long as possible, trying to stagger through as Fate gets hacked right afterwards.
Nanabush has gone over to Choice A1. Fate gets one of his own, I believe. Piggy using that primal rage. He was already beefy enough. He didn't need the extra resistances. Someone help Fate. He's about to go down. You lose your main tank. How are you supposed to touch now?
Oh, it's touched up to Lee Jae-gon. Flitter used the recall. He goes away into the well. Dumpster as the Guangzhou charge. Take our first series here of the day versus the Shanghai Dragons, who couldn't find a dub in the first week of the Countdown Cup.
Oh, God. There are going to be some very confused Americans waking up this morning. Checking the score lines, seeing a 3-2 victory in favor of the charge. They made the Dragons work for it. Dragons unable to finally come out with the win, though it does mean it does push them. Well, it actually just keeps them in second. I don't see a reality where Shanghai Dragons drop out of their position. They're already secured for playoffs, but they're stonks. They're plummeting at the moment, Vicky.
I mean, they need to be able to have that mentality going into the playoffs where they feel like they could do it. Again, this is the team that took the Summer Showdown, and now they got 3-0'd by the Dynasty. They went to a Game 5 situation with the Charge where the Guangzhou Charge taken over the Shanghai Dragons, and lo and behold, Trey, we're not surprised. But the player of the match is going to go in favor for Choi So-won with his performance at the very end. Not only at the very end there, but just in general. The Genji, the Tracer had so much impact. His timing in general, too. Forcing the Dragons to basically predict when this blade was going to come in was insane. Flutter was trying to deny any opportunity with the Nano Blade by trying to pinpoint their attention on Faraway, but Faraway survivability was also on another level throughout the series.
Yeah. Both the Honest played it really well, I think, in this one. I mean, obviously, there's not much you can do about a Genji Goomba stomping you like Choi Se-won right now. Like I said, just constantly from above. How do you track that? How do you stay on top of that? Multiple kills picked up there. Huge impact from them. Yes, we did get a Shang 9 at the end of this one, but let's not focus too much on that. Let's focus on Choi Se-won pulling out a blade and being an absolute animal. Just, yeah, Lip had no option there. You can see Lip hesitating with the shot. They know the deflect would have meant their own death. They had no play.
Yeah.
Kills Lee Jae-gon, gets a reset, gets onto Lip, who tried to clear some space.
And it already actually happened at the very beginning of the series there, too. So Lip making that quick adjustment to just be patient, wait out for the deflect.